Usually this grip and this bat is the biggest fear when in Miami. Last night it was not the biggest concern. The extra offense and extra base hits came off the bat of Marcell Ozuna, who walked off with the final swing and the first win in the month of May. Here at Marlins Park, they're celebrating a victory last night against the Phillies in Game 1 of this three-game series, and they're also celebrating the University of Miami. That's right, it's their day here at Marlins Park. So the Phillies fans will have to engage with not only the Marlins fans, but also the Hurricane fans. We get set for Game number 2. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Ben Davis, who would have gone to the University of Miami if he did not sign with the San Diego Padres. All right, so we get set for Game number 2. Last night, Phillies didn't have a whole lot of offense. The Marlins did, but they didn't score a whole lot of runs, but they got the one they needed in the bottom of the ninth.
And it all had to do with Marcell Ozuna. This guy is a terror. He's a thorn in the Phillies' side, but they got the runs when they needed it. Obviously, that ninth inning came and went, and the Marlins ended up walking off, but I tell you what, this guy can really swing the bat. I was talking to Frank Menechino, the Marlins hitting coach, today. He said, you know, Ozuna has no idea how good he can be.
And this is the game winner right here. Herrera did everything he could. Galvis did everything he could. And Carlos Ruiz thought maybe he got the shoulder of Giancarlo Stanton before he hit the plate. But they reviewed it, and the celebration, which was abbreviated initially, continued. And these are the numbers for Ozuna against the Phillies during his short career.
The thing that amazed me the most are the doubles. Yes, he does have 4 home runs, but 13 doubles, that's 7 more than he has against any other team. So whatever reason, he feels very comfortable in the batter's box against the Phillies.
All right, so the Marlins outfield is intact for today's ball game, and it includes Ozuna in center field, and it's Cole Hamels will have to deal with that and also deal with stopping this 4-game losing streak.
It's all on his shoulders today. First of all, he's got to get a win for the ball club. Secondly, he's got to save the bullpen. The bullpen has been overused and taxed, especially in St. Louis. So today, I'm not saying it's a must-win, but it would be very nice to stop this slide. He had very good success against the Marlins last time, and hopefully he can go out and do it again.
Now, he picked up his first victory on this road trip to start the trip. This is the game where he pitched very well, did not get a decision in this one. He needs to continue to saw off some bats just like he did right there.
And I will definitely look for him to pound the inside of that strike zone. One thing he did in his last start, well, he did it against the Marlins, but in the last start against the Cardinals, he very, very much so commanded the inside part of the plate to right-handers.
Solid earned run average. The opponent's batting average against with the Marlins, 233, but only 9 wins in the 23 decisions for Cole Hamels against the Miami Marlins. So he's going to look for win number 10 against the Fish this afternoon here in South Florida. So Hamels will take the baseball. He'll be opposed by right-hander Dan Herron, who's making his 5th start of the season. He's been pretty good for the Marlins. In fact, his only loss of the year, well, it came against the Phillies in Philadelphia. And speaking of his struggles against the Phils in that outing, give up a couple home runs. We're going to talk about Dan Herron and what he usually does and what he can expect today against the Phils. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. By Citizens Bank, one deposit checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. By Toyota, the Toyota Time Sales event ends June 1st. Hurry in today. Toyota, let's go places. By Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Phillies. By Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IBX.com. We're just minutes away from the first pitch between Cole Hamels and Dan Herron. Well, speaking of Dan Herron, he has faced the Phillies a handful of times during his career. In fact, 11 times. This is start number 12 with a number of different teams, and the Phillies just seem to have his number during those starts.
This is his 7th team, and the Phillies have gotten to him. I think the one thing that they've done well over the years is waited him out. Now, the thing with Dan Herron is he will add and subtract, but he subtracts more than he adds, meaning he throws a lot of off-speed pitches. His splitter, if it's on, it can be very, very good. But the Phillies have done a good job of waiting him out and selecting a fastball and whacking it.
Now, they have 13 home runs against him. This is his last time against the Phils where he missed his spot and the Phillies made him pay.
Exactly right. And look at here, Freddie Galvis, you see where that circle is. Wants it down low, elevates the baseball. Freddie puts a very, very good swing on it. And that's what you have to do against Dan Herron. And here again, with the big piece, wants it down and away. It's away, but it's elevated. And Ryan Howard doesn't try and pull it, stays with it, and drives it out to center field.
And the Phillies hope they can do those same things here today and stop this losing streak. And again, as you mentioned, Herron will throw a fastball and then subtract some velocity on that fastball. That's how he gets through things. He's a much different pitcher than when he first started here in the big leagues. So we'll see what happens today between the Phils and the Marlins. It is game 2 of this 3-game series. The crowd continues to file in. Lineups and first pitch from South Florida when we return. Last night, of course, the Marlins won it in their final at-bat on an RBI base hit by Marcell Ozuna. Dan Herron will take the baseball for the Marlins today. Cole Hamels, meanwhile, has finished his warm-up tosses and has already ventured into the dugout for the Phils. Well, there's a lot of news the Phillies are making, and Ruben Amaro, Murph, a little while ago, talked to the members of the Philadelphia media about that news.
Yeah, right off about a half an hour ago, the Phillies announcing that they have optioned David Buchanan to the Lehigh Valley to kind of get his act together and get some work done in hopes that he can come back. And in his place, Elvis Araujo is coming back. He has been recalled from the Lehigh Valley. Ruben said that they really expect David Buchanan to come back later this season, but he needs some work. He needs to get back to where he was at spring training, and he's going to be able to do that down in the Lehigh Valley without the pressure up here at the big league. So there you see the moves. David Buchanan will join the team against Louisville on Monday. They've also said that Chad Billingsley is going to join the rotation next week. He'll pitch on Tuesday, which will move Jerome Williams back one day. He will pitch on Wednesday. So Chad Billingsley finishing his rehab assignment and will be back in the big leagues early next week, guys. So that is good news for the Phillies rotation.
Yeah, and then Sean O'Sullivan, who threw a simulated game today here in South Florida, will start on Thursday for the Lakewood Blue Claws as he tries to rehab and possibly be back up with the big club sometime in the next few games. All right, let's take a look at the Phillies lineup, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment home of the Philadelphia Phillies. Ben Revere leads it off in left, then Odubel Herrera and Chase Utley. Ryan Howard's at first base batting cleanup. Grady Sizemore hits 5th. Cody Ashley bats 6th. Carlos Ruiz 7th. Freddie Galvis is at shortstop hitting 8th and batting 9th and pitching. is Cole Hamels, and they'll face 34-year-old right-hander Dan Herron, who is 2-1 on the year with an ERA of 3.38. Ben.
And he has been around. This is his 7th team that he's been with. 84 to 87. Doesn't throw as hard as he used to. Curve, splitter, and a cutter.
Well, Ben Revere will lead things off, and Revere takes off the outside corner, so we're underway, and the count is 1 ball and no strikes. Revere hitting .217, no home runs, and 6 runs batted in. Here is the Budweiser scouting report Ben was just talking to.
Yeah, he just doesn't throw as hard as he used to. Like I said, 84 to 87. See that last pitch at 85. But his splitter is the pitch that if it's on, it can be very, very good.
And Revere lines it right at the first baseman, Jeff Baker. So what out here in the first inning? Then slipped as he took that swing. He still hit it right on the nose. Whoop.
They do put a lot of that kitty litter down in the box. I don't know why. It looks pretty, but it can be slippery from time to time.
All right, here's Odubel Herrera. Herrera 1 for 4 in last night's ball game. 8 for 21 on this road trip. There's the different colored area of the batting box that Ben Davis was talking about, where they put the, what did you call it, kitty litter?
Well, it's
Diamond dry?
Diamond dry is what it's called, but
you little leaguers can use kitty litter if you need to. If you need to absorb a puddle somewhere. Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
I never liked it because when I played, I wore contacts, and if you go down to block a ball, sometimes the ball would be in the dirt. You get a little pebble and it would jump up in your eye, and I couldn't scratch them because I had the contacts in. It would be a pain.
Breaking ball, that's in there for strike 1 and 2 to Herrera. Herrera has hit in 5 consecutive ball games for the Phils. He leads all rookies in batting average at .299, all rookies in hits with 26. And he lifts that foul down the left field line out of play.
Not where Herron wanted that one. 1-2 pitch. I mean, that split the plate there. Made Herron so good when he was younger, when he did have that fastball, and you'd be looking for that splitter, and he had enough to just throw it by you.
He's having a little trouble seeing the signs right now. He's ready to go, and the 1-2 pitch to Herrera, and he grounds it foul past Juan Samuel. Manny Gonzalez is calling the balls and strikes tonight. Or today, I should say. Paul Schreiber's over at first base. Clint Fagan's at second. And Brian O'Nora, who had the plate last night, is over at third. It was Manny Gonzalez who made the call at the end of the game, the safe call on Giancarlo Stanton on the rotation of the umpires. Brian O'Nora, the home plate umpire, had slipped to another spot on the diamond. He went over to third base. Blowing away, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Both of those plays were so close. Both of those plays could have gone either way last night. The Ryan Howard attempt to get home on the potential pass ball or wild pitch, and the final play of the night with Marcell Ozuna's RBI double that scored Giancarlo Stanton. Outside, 3-2. And if the umpire didn't know, Odubel Herrera was just letting him know that the pitch was outside.
He has some confidence, doesn't he?
He does have that. And he asked for time as Herron was in the windup. Fly ball, shallow center field, and Ozuna comes trotting in. He got a late jump and he makes the catch. He got a late jump, but it looked like he was pretty confident he was going to make that catch the whole way.
He sure did, and he comes flying in and makes the grab. But I don't know if he just thought it was hit deeper, or it sounded pretty good. It sounded loud, like it was going to travel farther, but it didn't.
It'll bring Chase Utley to the plate, and it's time for our Geico quote of the day. Sandberg talking about Utley's struggle. When I look at the way Chase has swung the bat and got nothing to show for it, there's nothing I can say to Chase. Continue to swing the bat and hit the ball hard. I can't say much more. To watch him hit these balls and watch them and get nothing to show for it, he feels for the guy.
It is frustrating. It is frustrating.
No balls and 1 strike to Chase. Chase last night, though, he wasn't struggling on this pitch.
First pitch heater off Tom Kohler, deposits it in right field for a 3-run jack.
1 ball, 1 strike to Utley. Outside 2-1. Well, it hasn't changed his pregame preparation. You and I were talking before the ball game just about how much video he watches. I mean, he gets here early and goes through the same sort of habits that he's gone through every day of his career. But those are very Chase Utley-like numbers. And he pulls that one on 1 hop. Flag down by D. Gordon. And the side is retired. So he hits it sharply, but Gordon is there. Nothing across for the Phils. Dan Harron has not allowed any runs in the first inning of games this year, and that continues here today. Team will bat today against Cole Hamels. Let's take a look at his starting lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports and the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Leading off at second base, D. Gordon. Martin Prado will bat second. Giancarlo Stanton will hit third, followed by Marcell Ozuna and Jeff Baker. JT Realmuto will hit sixth. Batting seventh is Ichiro. Number 8 hitter is Adeiny Echeverria. He'll play shortstop. And Dan Harron will bat ninth. And they'll face Phillies left-hander Cole Hamels. And Hamels on the year is 1-2, an earned run average of 3.19. He's averaging a strikeout per inning pitch so far. You see what lefties have done against him, just 0.71. And he's facing a lefty to start things off. It's D. Gordon, who was 3 for 4 in last night's ball game with a run scored and a stolen base. He shows bunt, takes a strike. It's 0-1.
And we saw D execute a perfect bunt for a hit as we look at our Budweiser scouting report. 90 to 93. Cutter change curve. 9-4 with a 3.09 ERA.
And he floats one right back through the middle, a base hit. That's his first hit against Cole Hamels. He had been 0 for 9. He's now 18 for his last 29. That's over the last 8 games. It's remarkable. His batting average is up over 420. It's time now for our Nissan keys to this afternoon's ball game.
Well, after watching this fella play against the Phillies, no Zuna for you. Marcell Ozuna is killing the Phillies. Got to keep him in check and end it, Cole. The Phillies need to end this losing streak.
Yeah, they've lost 4 in a row since Hamels' win to start this road trip over the Cardinals. First pitch to Prado is in there. It's 0-1. Prado had 1 hit in 5 official at-bats in last night's game. Overall hitting .273 with a home run and 10 runs batted in. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
He's got enough pine tar on that bat, Tom?
Got a lot of pine tar.
Gosh.
Your buddy Ichiro has a lot of pine tar in his
He
bat,
does.
too.
But he just taps it with his fingers. That is. I bet you that's another ounce or 2 on the bat. It's got to be.
Runner goes. Pitch is taken outside. Ruiz's throw to second. No chance. Stolen base number 10 for D. Gordon. He's second only to Billy Hamilton of the Cincinnati Reds. Well, these guys stay in the National League together. This is going to be a heck of a race for the rest of their careers.
That's a great jump there by D. Gordon. There's nothing, absolutely nothing that Cheech could do.
Well, now a runner in scoring position for the Marlins, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike to Martin Prado. Marlins, who were hitless in their first 6 at-bats with runners in scoring position last night, but 2 for 6 in their next 6 at-bats. Ashe's got it, throws across the diamond on 1 hop. It's bobbled by Howard, safe at first. Over to third is Gordon. You kind of knew that was going to happen, that Gordon was going to cross over to third once the throw was released by Ashe. That's going to wind up being an E6.
Cody gets caught in between. I don't know if he just tried to throw it into the grass and bounce it over there, or just kind of got caught in between. Still a play I think Ryan Howard needs to make, but I don't know why he just didn't throw it in the air. He's got a very good arm.
Well, the official scorer has given the error to Ryan Howard, so it's E3, not E5. So runners on first and third. Now Giancarlo Stanton, who was 1 for 4 in last night's ball game. Phillies will set up to try to turn 2. Swing and a miss at a breaking ball. It's 0-1. That breaking ball was his bread and butter in his last outing against the Cardinals. He threw 15 curveballs. All right, so they just changed the official scoring to an E5 instead of an E3.
I was going to say that's a tough one to give Ryan.
Little dribbler, foul.
One thing I have noticed though with Stanton, it seems like pitches with depth, meaning a curveball or a split finger, they're the pitches that give him fits. Anything with lateral movement, a slider, a cutter, he seems to do okay with. But anything with depth, he seems to just really swing over the top of.
So a big curveball.
That's why I think you're going to see. Yes, he's still going to throw him some change ups and try and pound him up and in. But I think you will see some curveballs.
No balls and 2 strikes to Stanton. And a fastball just missed inside. It's 1-2. He backed away, but as we mentioned yesterday, with some of those inside pitches, they're not as close as he's making them seem to be. One ball and 2 strikes to Stanton. Check swing. Did he go? No, says Paul Schreiber. Boy, that was pretty close. During the 2015 season, Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the Phillies, will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream, sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs. Two balls, 2 strikes, runners on first and third. Stanton lays off again. It's 3-2. Gordon's at third. Prado's at first. Marcell Ozuna is in the on-deck circle. D. Gordon broke down the third base line as that throw went over to first. There's a man that trusts his speed.
Wouldn't you?
If he were to, well, yeah, I guess I would. you imagine if he came home though and was thrown out with Stan at the plate?
He would hear about it from Mike Redmond.
Little tapper back toward the mound. Here comes Gordon toward the plate. The throw, and it's in time as Carlos Ruiz hangs on. And D. Gordon is saying that Ruiz was in his base path. And the home plate umpire, Manny Gonzalez, didn't think so. Mike Redmond is walking up the stairs. He may head out. There's one man down with runners on first and second. May be in the way of D. Gordon as far as this rule goes.
But he has the ball. What do you want him to do? Just give him the plate? I'm so sick of this. I don't think anybody knows what to do anymore.
Well, it's up to the umpire's discretion.
Here you go, D. Here's the plate. Just slide in there, buddy. No.
He does have the ball, and that's what the umpire can say. Manny Gonzalez is talking to Mike Redmond about it right now. This is where Major League Baseball has put it into the hands of the home plate umpire. They are going to review it, though. So Brian O'Nora will go over with Manny Gonzalez. And they're going to review whether Carlos Ruiz was in violation of the rule that says that you have to give the base runner a clear path to the plates. Well, here we go. And you're right, Ben. He did have the ball.
He did have the ball.
But he was. And Gordon, if he does have the ball and if he has possession of it, can do what he did, which is go after Ruiz. But he's got to give him a clear path to the plates. This is where Major League Baseball, though, has changed it from a year ago. It's not as cut and dry. They are giving the home plate umpire the discretion to say, okay, if he didn't give him a clear path, it impeded him to the plate. Whereas you're saying the ball was already there.
The ball was already there. But the thing is, if you already have the ball and you still have to give him a clear path to the plate, isn't he going to score?
Well, there is that thought. I mean, you have to give a little bit of a swipe tag, but there is that thought. This is Rule 7.13 that was implemented a year ago by Major League Baseball. We had a number of issues with it last year. This is, in all honesty, this is the first issue that we're going to have this year. And here is the call from Brian O'Nora. He is out. Now, this is not a challenge by the manager. This is an umpire review. So 1 out. Call stands.
Well, that couldn't have worked out any better for the Phillies. I just don't understand why it even has to go to replay.
Well, Marcell Ozuna is now the batter with runners on first and second with one man down. Ozuna 3 doubles yesterday, takes inside, 1 ball, no strikes.
Okay, this is the last thing I'll say about it, and then I'll put it to rest.
For this time. Though.
For this time.
But I think you and former catchers, I think you probably feel this way.
Exactly. The objective of any defense, whether that in basketball, football, baseball, whatever, is to prevent the other team from doing what?
Scoring.
Scoring. So I don't understand why you have to give them a clear path to the plate.
So they want to avoid the collisions that hurt Buster Posey.
Okay, well, there's a way to do it as a catcher, and Chooch did it perfectly there. Tagged him and spun off him. He didn't take the brunt of that force.
1 ball, no strikes to Ozuna. Inside, 2-0.
Okay, I'm done.
Point noted. Outside corner, 2-1 to Ozuna. Ozuna does have 7 hits, including 3 home runs against Cole Hamels in his very young career.
Guy that never played in AAA.
Outside, 3-1.
As I mentioned in the open, I was talking with Frank Menechino, their hitting coach. He said, Ben, this guy has no idea how good he can actually be.
I wonder if the fear is that he won't work hard enough to realize that.
I hope that's not the case, to have that talent.
Chopper softly hit up the third base line. Ashe's barehanding it, throws on the run, and Howard comes off the bag. That'll be an infield hit. And the bases are loaded. Oh, Ben, you had your hands up as if to signal to Cody Ashe not to throw that, because that's a swinging bunt. There was really no chance for him to get a runner at first base.
Yeah, no damage was done, but that's one I'd like to see Cody just eat. Risk throwing it down the line in the end of the merry-go-round, and sooner make it the third, 2-run score. You don't need that.
Jeff Baker's now the batter. Baker hitting 167. Last 8 games against the Phillies, he's hitting 471. Part of the reason why he's in there against Hamels is because he does have 4 hits and 13 at-bats against him. Boy, Hamels is just not getting the inside pitch. Those look like they're a little tight. He's thrown about 4 of them there that Manny Gonzalez has called balls. Michael Morse, who's been struggling for the Marlins, gets today off. That one's hit foul, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
Baker did have a pinch hit last night, single, but definitely is a double play candidate.
Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Which would help out a lot because Cole's already at 20 pitches. As we mentioned before, it's got to get deep into this game.
Breaking ball, and a swung on and missed. There it is. Strikeout number 1 for Hamels. All right, so he's 2/3 of the way through this jam that he's in.
Such a good pitch. Everything's out of the same arm slot, which is just phenomenal. And Cole does repeat that delivery as good as anybody.
Here's Real Muto. Last night he was 0 for 3 with a sac fly. He takes a curveball for strike 1. It's 0-1. Are you seeing anything as far as his changeup goes? Is he not commanding it, or just not throwing it that much here in the first?
He's not throwing it. You know, he did throw it behind in the count to Baker there on the 1-0 pitch. But we thought last game against the Cardinals, where he threw 15 curveballs, that he was throwing it because he was having success with it. Chute said he wasn't throwing his changeup consistently, didn't have a feel for it. So that's why they went to that breaking ball.
Runners lead off here in the bottom of the first. 1 ball, 1 strike to Real Muto. And a fastball in there. It's 1-2. 94 on that fastball. Swing and a miss. He got him another curveball. He used back-to-back curveballs to pick up back-to-back strikeouts.
Like Sandy Koufax out there with that hook.
He leaves them loaded here in the first inning. Well, it took a lot of pitches, but Cole Hamels was able to pitch his way out of trouble here in the bottom of the first. We'll go to the top of the second when we return. Citizens Bank Weather Education Day presented by NBC 10. First Alert Weather will be Thursday, May 14th at 1:05. After the ball game against the Pittsburgh Pirates, there's also a senior stroll the bases. If you want to purchase tickets, go to Phillies.com. We go to the second, kind of an eventful bottom of the first for the Phils. Ryan Howard leads it off, and he rolls over on the first pitch. Martin Prado throws him out, so they'll go down as 5-3 in your book. So one away, Grady Sizemore will be the hitter. By the way, Ben, just to go back to the play at the plate with D. Gordon, okay. Major League Baseball has said that there was no violation of the home plate collision rule because the catcher was in total control of the ball prior to the contact or prior to the base runner progressing. So that's what we assume. That's the new rule. That's the addition to the new rule.
The addendum.
The addendum. One to Grady Sizemore. Sizemore takes on the outside corner 0-2. Joe Torre, who's part of Major League Baseball's front office and the rest of the committee that implemented the replay system and Rule 7.13, changed it going into this year to leave it a little bit more in the hands of the umpire to determine certain things like that. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Grady Sizemore. Inside, 2-2.
Dan Heron with a very, very deliberate leg kick. It dangles it up there.
Down the left field line, Ichiro on the run into foul territory and doesn't have enough room. All right, here's the play we're talking about. Ruiz is already where he was going to end up. Hamels hasn't tossed it yet. And here's the toss. Now he's in complete control right there. And there's one big step basically before contact. Well, I guess we can use that moving forward when trying to determine those things, although it probably is different depending on the personality of the umpire.
It did get to a point last year, though. I mean, it was. I remember one play in particular, Ryan Howard was out. It benefited the Phillies. He was out by 10 feet.
The foul ball remains 3-2 to Sizemore. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Bridget Alexander of Oxford, Pennsylvania. Phillies hit a home run in tonight's ball game, then Bridget will win $100.
Good luck, Bridget.
Gave out $100 in last night's game.
Oxford. Son just had a tournament out there. Beautiful country.
Did he run into Bridget at all?
I don't think so. Quite a few horse and buggies, though.
Did he run into any of those? Swing and a miss. Sizemore is struck out. First strikeout for Heron. And there are 2 outs here in the second.
Just a fastball. Just runs away from Grady there. Not a whole lot to it.
Cody Ashley takes outside. Dan Heron's won 144 games during his major league career. And the more you think about the way he's pitching now and where his what his velocity is, he must have been during his peak very difficult to pick up. With that little hesitation, and then bam, he's on you with a 94, 95 mile an hour fastball.
He definitely was.
Outside, 2-2.
I wouldn't say he was a guy that hides it like a Rick Sutcliffe. I mean, Sut would really hide that ball, and he wasn't a flamethrower, but he hides it, and it would get on you.
And a Oh, strike three. Boy, he's throwing a lot of curveballs here today. Back-to-back strikeouts. Ashe doesn't think that was a strike. He has a word with Manny Gonzalez. And the Phillies go down quietly in the second inning. 6 up, 6 down for Dan Herron. Breaking pitch that was right on the plate. We'll go to the bottom of the second here in South Florida. Total coverage of the 2015 NFL Draft. If you want to see what teams have done, how the Eagles have improved themselves, well, tune in tonight, beginning at 7:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. There are a number of guys from the University of Miami that were selected in this year's draft. And today is University of Miami Day here at Marlins Park. Ichiro will lead things off. 1 for 4 last night. First pitch is over. It's 0-1. Ichiro hitting .262 with a home run and 5 runs batted in. Down low, 1-1. Hitting just under .300 since he started taking over left field duties on a full-time basis for the injured Christian Yelich.
I'm sure his time will diminish when Yelich comes back.
I think there was a fear that he would not get enough at-bats this year here in South Florida. He was signed as the number 4 outfielder. But he said before the season started, he said, listen, it's a long season. He goes, I've seen where 4th outfielders, and we don't want this to happen, can get 400 at-bats in a season. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And he slices that one down the left field line. It'll be a fair ball. Revere picks it up. Ichiro will hold up at first. He's read the new scouting report on Ben Revere.
Man's a magician with a bat. It's not a bad pitch. Not a bad pitch at all. It's down. Great play by Ben, though. Yes, they haven't scouted properly. Ben came up, firing ball to second base. I like it.
It'll bring Echeverria to the plate. Echeverria hitting over .300. He's been one of the hotter hitters over the last week of games. Runner goes, and the pitch is floated out toward right field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. Ichiro's going to be out, though. The throw goes to third. Ichiro went around the bag, stepped back over the bag, and went toward first, and then curled under the bag and went over to third. Unless my eyes are deceiving me, I think he's going to be out, because he never touched second base technically. He touched it back again, and then went under the bag to go to third.
He would have had to retouch it.
Right. He would have had to touch it 3 times, actually. So they will appeal. Watch it here. 1, back, and under. So really only hit it once.
Right.
You're not allowed to do that. So the Phillies will go through the appeal. Hamels will, I think he's conferring with Manny Gonzalez right now. What should I do? Hamels is going to go to the mound. He's going to step off, and then they're going to throw to second base. And it'll wind up being a put out at second. As long as the umpire saw it, it was pretty clear. And throw to second, he is out at second base. And that is the right call. So there's one away with a runner at first. That's a huge break for the Phillies. Now Redmond's coming out. And he's going to discuss some of this stuff with the second base umpire. Now you can review this if you're Mike Redmond. It's one of the new ones. Now you have to do the appeal first, which the Phillies have done. But you can review touching a base if it was indeed incorrect. If you're Mike Redmond, they're going to go on the phones. You're not going to want to waste a challenge this early in the game. Take a look at it again. Ichiro doesn't know where the ball is. Now he finds it. He's at second. Boom. Goes back toward first. Boom. And then under the bag.
Correct. Really cut and dry, if you ask me.
So he's laughing about it with Brian O'Nora. All right, so Mike Redmond is waiting to hear whether they should review this or not. Again, it's pretty clear. So they're not going to review this. So one out. The putout goes to Utley at second base. And Dan Herron will be the batter. First, and Echeverria is back. And by the way, from a scoring standpoint, that is a base hit for Echeverria. It's not a fielder's choice. Aaron bunts at it toward first, so the sacrifice is successful. He'll be tagged out. Up to second base goes Echeverria. And there are two outs. Dee Gordon now hitting .429. And we're a month into the season. He's played every day and he's hitting .429.
See him continue. I said that last night. The Phillies are making a note of the fact that it's very aggressive on that first pitch. You see a first pitch changeup. 84.
There's a cutter low, and it's 1 strike.
It is something, though. I mean, .429. I don't care how you're getting hits.
Well, think about he and DJ LeMahieu both from the Colorado Rockies. Outside, great play by Ruiz. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Great play by Cheech there, moving laterally. That was a short one. See how he didn't make his torso rigid, though? You make that torso rigid, the ball can deflect anywhere. He was very soft and absorbed that ball.
Three balls, 1 strike. Must have been a little high. Inside, ball 4. So Gordon draws a walk. First walk issued by Hamels. And that puts runners on first and second for Martin Prado. This is already the 6th at bat for the Marlins with runners in scoring position. We're only in the 2nd inning.
I think when you look at ball games like he pitched against the Cardinals his last outing, it's almost like you take it for granted how good he is. I mean, that lineup is, the more I look back on that series in St. Louis, that team can hit.
Well, you and I got a chance to vote for Players of the Month in the National League. I think Matt Carpenter may run away with that.
That's who I voted for.
Somebody said he's on pace for 101 doubles this year. 2 balls, 1 strike to Prado. And that's low, 3-1. So Hamels has walked 1. He's allowed a couple of hits in this inning. He's not as sharpest here today. He's already thrown 41 pitches. And Giancarlo Stanton is the on-deck hitter.
He should get something good to hit here. If you're Prado, you're kind of licking your chops right now.
And a high fly ball deep to left field. How about this? Martin Prado is at a long 3-run home run. And the Marlins take the early lead. Second time that Prado has homered against Hamels in his career. Now has 20 career hits against him. Well, you were right, Ben. He did get something good to hit.
You know you're going to get something good to hit with Stanton on deck. I mean, this is kind of questioning the 3-1 heater in. I guess that's the scouting report they have, but if you have an aggressive hitter in that situation, he's going to be looking for something he can drive, and it's going to be middle in.
And now Stanton with nobody on, and he takes strike 1. It's 0-1. No balls, 1 strike to Giancarlo. Taps it foul. It's 0-2. Martin Prado has had a lot of success against the Phillies during his career. The Atlanta Braves, even a little bit with the Diamondbacks, but now here with the Marlins. He's been a very good player for a long time. Kind of liken him to Placido Polanco.
Yes.
0-2 pitch to Stanton. Swing and a miss. He gets it with a changeup, and the side is retired. 3 strikeouts for Hamels, but the damage is done by that guy right there. A long 3-run home run for Prado. We'll head to the 3rd with the Phillies trailing 3. the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Ben, you ready for this one? You got last night's answer. Let's give you the question for today and see if you can make it back-to-back days. What team originally drafted Mike Morse in the 3rd round of the 2000 MLB drafts? Answer will be revealed in just a little bit.
I think I know that one as well.
You seem very confident. Carlos Ruiz will lead it off, hitting .220 on the year. All right, last night Tom Kohler went the first time through without allowing a base runner. Dan Herron, meanwhile, has retired the first 6. The 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. It's the 3rd strikeout for Herron, who is no longer a strikeout pitcher, but he has 3 in a row here. Freddie Galvis is coming up. Well, Murphy hasn't really tested his defense a whole lot, but let me tell you, the Marlins are off to a record-breaking start defensively.
They really are, Tom, and when he tests them, they will probably pass that test, because in 23 games, the Miami Marlins have had just 6 errors in that time, which by far leads the National League, and it also leads Major League Baseball. Just 6 errors in those 23 games, and get this, only 1 unearned run allowed this season. That is remarkable through the first month of the season, and that was a throwing error by Jared Saltalamacchia, who's not even with the team anymore. So that was the 1 unearned run. You talk about a pitching staff that hasn't been terrific so far this season, but to get that kind of support from their defense behind them, it makes them that much better. A lot of the credit goes to Perry Hill. He is their infield coordinator and a guru in fielding in Major League Baseball, and he works with these guys each and every day. But they are really seeing results right now. And when you talk about not giving teams extra outs and that helping you win ball games, that's exactly what the Marlins are doing.
Yeah, and you mentioned Perry Hill, and you're right. Everybody gives him a whole lot of credit and have given him credit for years. In fact, he went away from the Marlins for a short period of time, and he was so good that the players, Mike Redmond and the front office, said, we got to get this guy back.
Yeah, so many of their players. Nice pick right there.
But Echeverria does not get it over to first in time.
Right on cue, but so many of their players have given credit to Hill just by the drills, the different drills that he worked with them on, different things to get their their hands quick and their eyes sharp. Over and over and over again, guys that have won Gold Gloves have come out and said, part of the reason I won those Gold Gloves is because of a guy like Perry Hill. So certainly he has something to do with it, but ultimately the players are the ones that are going to have to get the job done, and they have this season.
All right, Murph, we appreciate that. And you see Echeverria make that throw. Boy, that was a close play at first. And Hamels bunts it foul. It's 0-1. I remember last year the Marlins were in town in Philadelphia, and my 17-year-old was having a little trouble throwing from third base. Just for some reason his throws were offline, and I was talking to Perry Hill about it. He gave me this drill where you put a bucket of balls behind the player as Hamels swings away and hits it skyward on the infield. That is way up there. Echeverria is under it, makes the catch, and there are 2 outs. Anyway, he said put a big bucket behind him, not below him, but behind him, where he can just reach and throw. So he said basically take the ball out of the bucket, throw. Take the ball out of the bucket, throw. Don't even think about it. Take the ball out of the bucket, throw to the target. And with a matter of 3 or 4 days, the throws were totally changed.
It sounds so simple, but sometimes simplicity works.
Yeah, basically what he was saying was get your feet set, just take it and throw. Basically all arm,
right,
but using your legs to push off. But don't move anything. Just do it where you're not thinking about it.
Makes sense, though.
It does make sense.
Muscle memory.
Ben Revere lined out his first time up. Takes a strike. It's 0-1. And Murph was talking about Saltalamacchia. Of the 6 errors, and he's no longer with him. He has 2 of them. Revere serves that foul. It's 0-2. And that one's pulled into right field, a base hit. Galvis will just drop anchor at second. That puts runners on first and second with 2 men down. So Herron's allowed 2 hits in this inning. Here's Odubel Herrera, who flied to center.
Got a gapper here, Tom.
A gapper would help fix this 3-0 deficit.
Watch the boys run. Continues to work ahead of seemingly every one of the Phillies hitters. He's only fallen behind 3 hitters. This is the second time through the lineup.
Off the glove of Real Muto, the runners will move up. Well, now you don't need a gapper. It would be helpful. And I believe the Real Muto was crossed up on that.
Yes. Expecting something to break, and it doesn't. It's the worst feeling. You're just worst feeling. You're just in such a vulnerable position, especially when you got a guy out there that has some hair on it. You're back there and you're like looking for it. I know it's gonna wait. It's not breaking. Catch one right in the gut.
That one's pulled toward first, and it's caught by Jeff Baker. It sounded like he may have broken his bat. Side is retired. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left for the Phillies. We'll move to the bottom of the 3rd here in South Florida with the Marlins on top 3-0. Hot or iced coffee is just $1. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And buy Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers and our most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com. Oh, it's still pretty nice outside, even though the roof is closed here today. I feel like we always have to give an explanation as to why the roof is closed in South Florida. Normally it's just hot outside. That's why. And there's storms in the area as Ozuna lines one to center field and Herrera makes the catch. But the reason they have the roof closed today is because they said there were 15 to 18 mile-an-hour winds. And they didn't want to get caught if a storm brewed and came off the coast because of those winds. They didn't want to get caught with the roof open.
This has had you very disgruntled today. I don't like to see you like this.
Well, I just think it's such a beautiful ballpark, and it's so bright when the roof is open. Like last night was beautiful. But they did get caught on opening day. And if you take a peek around the yard, there's no tarp. They do have a tarp under the stadium. 0-1 pitch. And Baker lines one down the left field line. It's hooking toward the corner. It's a fair ball. And Revere will pull it out of the corner, and Baker will pull into second base with his 5th career hit against Cole Hamels.
Cole Hamels go after him with a breaking ball. Got him the first at bat with that. I think he may have been looking for that one. Rifles it down the left field line. You can see there on Cole's grip, it's more of a spike in his curveball.
Which means that the index finger is into the ball, almost like a knuckleball.
Correct.
And the middle finger is along the laces.
Yes.
Here's Real Muto, who struck out his first time up and waves at the first pitch. It's 0-1.
The funny thing is, Cole actually holds it like that when he's in the stretch and the ball's behind his back. He actually has the spike on the ball.
Big lead for Baker off second. The 0-1 is lined in almost the same spot. It's going to roll toward the corner, and the Marlins will get another run. Real Muto's around second. He'll hold up there. He's got good speed. It's an RBI double. 4-0. Miami on top.
Change up down. Real Muto does a very good job of staying through the ball, hitting through the ball. He was a little out in front, but he kept his hands moving forward and not bringing them back towards his body. Otherwise, that would have been a rollover to the left side.
Ichiro is 1 for 1. Down low, 1-0. Well, Ben, you mentioned with your keys to the game is for Hamels to stop the losing streak and to go deep into this game. Whether the Phillies stop the losing streak or not remains to be seen, but it doesn't look like Cole's going to go deep in this game. Elvis Arahu, who Murph mentioned, is going to join the team. Ruben Amaro said that he probably won't be here today. He'll be available for tomorrow's game. So Ryan Sandberg does not have an extra pitcher. He's got the normal allotment of relievers. Inside, 2-1.
And you feel for David Buchanan. Such a great kid. But, you know, he just wasn't attacking the hitters. Didn't seem to have the same stuff that he had in spring training. In spring training, he was phenomenal. But there are some things that he needs to work on, and can do it at the Lehigh Valley.
3-1. Yeah, I think a lot of folks thought that he would stay up here really out of necessity more than anything else. And work on things up here. You're right, though. He's a great kid, and he wants to get better. And I think that's part of the battle for anybody, is to want to do it, and he does. As Ichiro draws a walk, that puts runners on first and second here in the third. And Bob McClure is going out to the mound. Time to take a look at our T-Mobile game changer, and we look at Cole Hamels, who's making his 280th start, which ties him with Grover Cleveland Alexander. 21 away from the great Chris Short. Steve Carlton, Robin Roberts, Chris Short are the other pitchers ahead of Cole Hamels right now. That's some pretty impressive company for Cole. Everybody hopes he's around to eventually eclipse lefties.
A lot of starts. Okay, Bob McClure was pretty much doing all the talking to Chooch.
Yeah. So is that about pitch selection by the catcher?
I don't know if it's pitch selection or whether or not he was wondering where those pitches were. And they were pretty close, but I thought they were balls to Ichiro.
Well, now Echeverria takes inside. 1 ball, no strikes. think I got that young lady right in the arm. One ball and one strike to Echeverria. Swing and a miss. 87-mile-an-hour cutter, and it's 1-2.
Sure, something will be sent along her way.
The way it landed in the seat, the hope was that it went right past her arm. And a liner down the right field line, out of play. Out toward right center field. Sizemore into the alleyway is under it. Look out. He and Herrera were converging. And Real Muto will go to third. And there are 2 outs and the pitcher's coming up.
See where Odubel ended up on this? This is very, very close.
He did look like he was even calling it too. He covered a lot of ground.
He sure did.
Dan Herron sacrificed his last time up. In fact, he covered so much ground that Hamels was about to pitch, but Odubel wasn't back in his position yet. Swing and a miss. It's 0-1. I think these dimensions are throwing him off right now because he's really deep for Dan Herron.
Sure is.
Actually, I think Ben Revere's deep too. Maybe not. Fly ball to right center field, and Herrera tracks it down. What do we know? Side is retired. 1 run scores, 2 hits, 2 men left. So we're through 3. And the Marlins are on top by 4 over the Phillies. Wide selection of Green Mountain Coffee K-Cup pods to keep you running. Order by 11:30 a.m. and get free same-day delivery. Who but W.B. Mason. Well, Ben Revere and Greg Murphy. I'm Tom McCarthy. We're going to the top of the 4th inning. Dan Herron has allowed just 2 hits so far, no runs. His team has staked him to a 4-0 lead. And he will face Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Grady Sizemore. It's the heart of the Phillies order. In fact, 3, 4, and 5 for the Phillies this year. Remarkably, are hitting 155. 4th inning is where the Phillies did their damage last night. 4 for 6 with 3 runs, thanks to Chase's home run. Let's see if they can duplicate it here. As you can see, the other innings did not produce a whole lot. 3 for 36.
No.
Chase grounded out to second base his only time up. Actually hit a line drive one hopper to second base. Curveball.
Talked about Chase in the videos that he's been watching. I think I passed that room today back and forth in the clubhouse 5 or 6 times. He was in there every time.
Outside, 1-2. I think anybody that struggles in anything, whether it be baseball, whether it be any walk of life, when you struggle, you try to go back to the basics, or try to, keep your routine as best you can. If it's what has helped you before.
But swing wise, approach wise, the way he gets himself ready to hit when the pitches come in, it all looks the same to me. He's just not getting hits. So there might be some little thing in there he can find.
That one's hooked foul. And it remains 2 balls, 2 strikes to Chase.
You just don't hope it turns into that paralysis by analysis.
That's the opposite way. Ichiro on the run. And he tracks it and makes the catch. 1 gone here in the 4th. And Ryan Howard's coming up. StubHub Mother's Appreciation Day is Sunday, May 10th. All women 15 and older will receive the Phillies wristlet. That's the wristlet right there. It's the final game of that 3-game series against the New York Mets. You can order your tickets by going to Phillies.com. Howard is 0 for 1. He grounded out to the right side his first time up, and it's 1 ball and no strikes.
Subtraction, subtraction, subtraction. He just keeps going slower and slower.
And then comes back with a high fastball at 82, or high cutter, I guess it was. And that can't be his fastball, right? It's got to be a cutter.
See him looking back to see what the speed on that was. It had to be a cutter.
And he got him with an off-speed pitch. Now that's his 4th strikeout. I do marvel at how guys like this are able to be successful in the big leagues.
Well, it's deception. It's all deception. I mean, that has some good movement on it, but it seems to me like the Phillies hitters just aren't trusting themselves right now. Go up there looking for that first pitch spinner. I mean, 85 is just not enough to get it by you. It's really not.
It almost looks like the slower he throws, the harder they swing.
He's not even hitting spots.
Yeah, and those are 2 fastballs, 82 and 83. That wasn't a cutter, right? Those look like 2 fastballs the way it moved.
Real Muto put a 3 down and set up inside.
So those are cutters that don't miss spots.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a cutter in. Be it again, Tom.
Inside 3-2.
Just refuses to give in.
I think also the fact that he has a 4-0 lead enables him to do is to be even more aggressive toward the plate instead of nibbling more and more. That one's hit well out toward right center field. Stanton's on the run, so is Ozuna. It's going to drop, and Ozuna will field it on one hop and throw to second, not in time, and Sizemore has a two-out double. Cody Ashley's coming up. A reminder that Phillies baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Budweiser is still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Ashley struck out looking his only time up, so he's 0 for 1. Phillies are not going to go down in order in this inning. They had been retired in order in 8 of the previous 12 innings this series. Oh, and 2.
Throwing that cutter, and I don't see he loves it, but I don't see it moving a whole heck of a lot.
Well, you would think he's going to miss with it one time and somebody's going to put it out of the ballpark. And right there, I think he felt like he missed his spot and got away with one. That's the first pitch he's thrown against the last 3 hitters that was above 85 miles an hour.
He's thrown 50 strikes and 21 balls.
There are the splits right there.
One just can't seem to square it up.
In the dirt, and now 2-2.
We're seeing a lot of foul balls, so maybe it's just late movement that we can't see on the television,
right,
or that we can't see from the booth here. But that all these foul balls really tells me that something going on where they're just not picking it up, or he does have that late movement, which is more than we can tell from here.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Ashley, and Ashley pops it up. Real Muto, the catcher, throws the mask aside and makes the catch. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left in scoring position. We've played 3.5 now here at Marlins Park, and the Marlins lead it by 4. Dealer.com. By Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. And by Jefferson, where health is all we do. Call 1-800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning here in Miami. The Phillies trail at 4-0. Top of the order, D. Gordon's up. He's been on base twice today. First pitch is in there. It's 0-1. D. Gordon doesn't walk a whole lot. In fact, he's walked 5 times. He's a lot like Ben Revere in that sense. And he has talked about that. He said, listen, he goes, I don't walk a lot because they don't think I'm going to hit the ball out of the ballpark, so they just keep throwing me fastballs. So if they throw me fastballs, I'm going to swing at them. 0-2 pitch. Outside.
It's a good way to think. I mean, hey, if you're going to challenge me, I'm up for it.
And there's a liner out to right field, a base hit. Sizemore gets to it quickly because Gordon takes a big turn around first. Tampa Respiratory Asthma Awareness Night will be Monday, May 11th, and the Phillies start a series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. All fans coming to the ballpark receive that cap. Compliments of Teva. You can order your tickets by going to Phillies.com. Martin Prado homered his last time up. He's 1 for 2.
First day in yesterday, the song came on the PA system, and I started singing it.
Most people start to sing songs.
A couple of you guys are like, what are you singing? And it was the Little Einstein song. And D. Gordon has them play that song twice before their batting practice. And all 4 of my kids love it.
All right, so what's the thinking behind playing the Little Einstein song?
Maybe he's just a little guy, and apparently he made up a little dance for it.
Maybe that's what it is, to try to keep people loose?
I guess. But
because they played it excessively loud today.
Excessively loud. Going on a trip on our favorite rocket ship.
It was loud. 1 ball, no strikes to Prado. Another toss over to first. Well, he has 2 hits today. He has a walk. He has scored a run. He has stolen a base. He has 7 multi-hit games in his last 8.
He's hitting .434. D. Gordon is.
Yeah, these are kind of high school numbers at this point, right? He's going to cool off at some point. How much? Who knows? There he goes. Pitch is taken for a ball. The throw to second base is not in time. 2 stolen bases today, 11 on the year.
I mean, I don't know what else you can do.
He anchored himself right on that bag, too, with that hand.
Dislocated shoulder there.
And by the way, Hamels not happy that that pitch was called a ball. Where Gordon stole second base. He thought that was a strike all the way. Not pleased with Manny Gonzalez, the home plate umpire. 2 balls, 1 strike. In the dirt, Gordon will go to third. Give him an inch, and he will definitely take a mile.
Just a cutter that gets away from Cole. Obviously gets away from Chooch there. Just kind of spiked that one in the dirt.
And that's ball 4, so Prado's aboard. Well, now you're going into a territory that is very dangerous, with Stanton and Ozuna due up next. You're going to have to play back and play for 2, I would think. Well, I don't know. Maybe you have to cut everything off at this point, but this guy hits it so hard. They are going to play it back and look to turn 2.
Cole has handled him today with the tapper back to him and the changeup for a strikeout his last at bat. Frank Menechino did give Cody Ashley a lot of credit today for the way he's handled the hot shots that Giancarlo hits down to him. He said a lot of guys don't even come close to doing what he does. He said David Wright in New York, he said he olays every one of them.
Does he
so
really?
He was very complimentary towards Cody for sacrificing himself.
There's a strike, and it's 1-2.
And the double he hit over to the left of Cody last night was how fast again off the bat?
118 miles per hour. What number did you say?
I said 118, but you had it at 120.
120, right. A high fly ball to center field. It'll be deep enough to score Gordon. Herrera is under it. Prado's going to tag from first. The throw goes to second. Strong throw by Herrera. Sac fly, and it's 5-0 Marlins. Third RBI for Stanton. Ozuna to shortstop. That might be 2. Galvis to second for 1. Over to first in time for the double play. 6-4-3, and the inning is over. But the Marlins have scored another one. This one on the sac fly by Giancarlo Stanton. We'll head to the 5th inning. The Phils down 5-0. Quiz answer. All right, here you go, Ben. What team originally drafted Mike Morse in the 3rd round of the 2000 MLB drafts?
I'm going to say the Seattle Mariners.
The Seattle Mariners is incorrect.
Really?
The Chicago White Sox. I thought the same thing that you thought, because that's the team he came up with, the Seattle Mariners.
You know why I should have known that?
Why?
Because I believe we were traded for each other as part of a trade.
Did you go to the White Sox?
I did, with Freddie Garcia.
Yes, you should have known that. All right, let's look it up and see.
Miguel Olivo went from the White Sox to the Mariners.
All right, hold on. Let's get it all correct here. Let's go to the transactions page for Mike Morse.
I'm not positive.
All right, here we go. Traded by the White Sox with Miguel Olivo and Jeremy Reed to the Mariners for Ben Davis and Freddie Garcia. Yes, you should have known that.
That eluded me.
2-2 pitch to Ruiz. Fly ball short center field. Gordon going out with his back to the infield, makes the catch. One out here in the 5th inning. Now, why did the Dodgers trade him?
Well, they signed the. This is just a great play here by D. Gordon. Very tough. Over your shoulder. Just gauging that ball and where it's going to land and knowing where to put your glove. That's a tough play. But why the Dodgers got rid of him? They had their, they had a big free agent signing in the Cuban.
Right.
They just wanted to
free up some cash. They brought over Howie Kendrick, obviously J-Roll to play shortstop. They went with the veterans instead of the youth. They have so much money, I guess, invested in this roster. No balls and 1 strike. Breaking ball outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Galvis fouls it back. It's 1-2. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. We're watching Freddie Galvis at bat, and we've talked so much about how he has changed the way he is swinging and trying to make more contact, and that certainly has been something he's working on, and certainly has been something he's succeeded at. It's the subject of our Coors Light Cold Hard Fact. Take a look at the strikeout per at bat leaders in the National League, and Freddie is right there at number 3, following only Inciarte and Simmons, and he's striking out just 14.2 different at plate appearances. Every time he comes to 14.2 plate appearances per strikeout for Freddie Galvis. That is a marked improvement of what it was a year ago for him, and it's because of the way he has gone about his business. Shortening that swing and just trying to make contact and hit the ball where it's pitched. It's something that he started working on in spring training. He continues to work on every day, and it is working for him.
Yeah, he's been very good, and they haven't moved him from the number 8 spot. Same reasons that they didn't move Adeiny Echeverria from the number 8 spot. Well, he's fouling 1 ball off after another. And that lends itself to what Murph was talking about, just the contact that he's making and not giving in. Well, he's lucky right there. He could have added to that strikeout total with that pitch. Aaron thought it was on the inside part of the plate. Fly ball short left. Echeverria is out. Ichiro is in. And there are 2 outs. So 2 away. Here's Cole Hamels. Hamels popped out to Echeverria's first time up. And he lines one back through the middle, a base hit. So that's only the 4th hit for the Phillies. And it comes with 2 men down here in the 5th inning.
Sweet swinging Cole Hamels. He does have a pretty swing. That was supposed to be a backdoor cutter. I mean, it didn't move a whole lot. It was right down the middle at 83.
So his misses haven't hurt him here today.
No, they have not.
.26 pitch, 4th inning, but he shredded a runner at second base during that inning. A little high, and it's 1-2. And a line drive caught by Echeverria at shortstop. And that'll do it for the Phillies here in the top of the 5th inning. So Dan Herron is cruising right now. He's got a 5-run lead. It's kind of been a relaxing day for the right-hander here in South Florida. Bank's Champions in Action program recognizes nonprofit organizations that are making a difference in our communities. Congratulations to our latest champion, Philadelphia Academies. To learn more, visit citizensbank.com/community. Good banking is simple, clear, and personal, and that's helping you bank better. Citizens Bank. 5-0 Marlins on top. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Well, not a whole lot to cheer about from a Phillies standpoint if you're a fan of the Phils coming down here to South Florida to watch them play. They have struggled offensively. Meanwhile, the Marlins have banged out 8 hits today. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. They're 6-1 on this current homestand. They've hit .313 coming into today's ball game on this homestand with 18 extra base hits. That doesn't include the Prado home run and the 2 doubles that they've connected on in this game. So 21 extra base hits overall.
Great play by that fan.
Very good play. Got to bring your glove, Ben.
I think he barehanded it.
Got to bring your bare hand, Ben. Swing and a miss, and Baker is struck out. So 1 out.
And getting back to that point, though, Tom, that is, I mean, they are playing good baseball right now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, think about where they were when the Phillies saw them in Philadelphia. They were really struggling, but over the last 8 days, they're 5-1. And then over the last 7 coming in, 6-1, and they've got a 5-0 lead here. His job security was under question, Mike Redmond, when the Phillies were in Philadelphia. Jeffrey Loria didn't say anything until, I think it was 2 days ago, where he basically said, I never had any interest in firing Mike Redmond.
After the fact.
After the fact. No balls and 1 strike to Real Muto. At the knees, 0-2. And he got him. So back-to-back strikeouts for Cole Hamels. Well, this is what we're talking about. Through the 21st of April, 3-11. Since the 22nd of April, they're hitting over 300. They're scoring more than 5 runs per game. But I think the big number is the earned run average, Ben. I mean, collectively between the starters and the relievers, it has been way better.
Well, that's no coincidence. Batting average goes up, ERA goes down. You're going to win some ball games. But that is drastic. I mean, that's very drastic.
Oh, 1 to Ichiro. 0-2 to Ichiro.
Get you in one of those outfits there, Tom.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that would be good for anybody, including the outfit.
You do provide the energy, though. I'll give you that much.
That's because there's energy in chocolate, Ben. No balls and 2 strikes to Ichiro. He's been on base twice today. He asked for time.
You gotta really love your job, huh?
If you're going to be part of the energy team.
Be part of the energy team.
So at a Major League scoreboard, the Angels and Giants are battling right now, and the Giants are leading at 4-1. Brandon Crawford has a couple runs scored, a home run. Chopper back toward the mound, and Hamels flags it down. 1-2-3 inning. Man, did he need this. The easiest inning of the day for Cole Hamels, 5 in the books. So as we go to the 6th inning, Odubel Herrera is getting set to lead things off for the Phillies. Galvis hit the ground running in April and was among the National League batting leaders the entire first month. 3 hit games have come often from his bat, no matter where he bats in the lineup. Oh, and his glove? It's been working pretty well in the field, stealing hits on a daily basis. Freddie's first month has been impressive. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, Cole Hamels has had a very peculiar day today off his last start against the St. Louis Cardinals, where he was really good. He had trouble with his command early on in this ball game. He had a long first inning, got through that, but then allowed 3 runs and a home run to Martin Prado in the second, and then single digits in the 3rd and 4th. But he got a 1-2-3 inning his last time, and every time the Phillies pitchers do that, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Herrera takes a strike. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Wow. 1 and 2. He's gotten us so many 2-strike counts today that it puts the hitters even more on the defensive. And he can cheat a little bit with a couple of those pitches.
If you do get ahead, you can get away with mistakes, like you're saying. I mean, it's.
That one softly to center.
Because the hitter's on the defensive. You just feel sometimes you might get that cookie, but you're little hesitant to go after it, and you end up fouling it off or popping it up.
Oh, one away. Here's Chase Utley, who's 0 for 2. He's grounded out. He's also flied to left. Chase hitting 122. And a chopper back toward the middle. Echeverria gobbles it up. And there are 2 outs. I don't know. This is like nothing we've ever seen before with Chase Utley. I know we keep saying that, keep thinking that he's going to come out of it. I think we have so much confidence in him as a ball player that you just look at these numbers and say, this isn't going to last this entire time. But it has continued after a very good spring. That kind of erased all the thoughts of his struggles in the second half of last season. First pitch to Howard. And outside 1-0.
The thing is, he's now at 117. He's going to have to go on some streak of 20 for 25, even get back to, maybe not that much, but even get back to 200 to the Mendoza line.
Yeah, at this point, I guess if he starts to hit, you can't even look at the numbers. I mean, numbers is what dictates everything in this game. But even that right there, that's not that sort of frustration where he still has the helmet on sitting at the end of the bench.
Just like anything, though, you put that much work and time and effort into something, you don't see the results. You're like, what is going on? Why is it not turning around? I'm putting the time in, I'm putting the effort in, I'm watching the film, I'm taking extra flips, extra BP. It just eats at you.
Fly ball, shallow left field toward the line, playable for Ichiro. And Dan Herron has 6 scoreless innings here this afternoon against the Phils. Another 1-2-3 inning. It's his 3rd of the day. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Toyota. The Toyota Time Sales event ends June 1st. Hurry in today. Toyota, let's go places. It'd be nice to be out there on a day like this. Warm outside, a little cloudy early on today. Inside, it's the Marlins 5, the Phillies nothing. We go to the bottom of the 6th. The Danny Echeverria will lead it off. Dan Herron may be done after 6 innings. He has a little over 100 pitches here today. They might figure, you know what, we got 6 innings out of him. Let's go to the bullpen for the last 3. We'll go single inning, single inning, single inning. 1-0 pitch. Way inside, 2-0.
Yeah, but those innings weren't very stressful. That's the thing. We always talk about, you know, a guy could throw 80 pitches, but those innings were stressful. Guys on base, deep counts, pressure-packed situations. He was pretty much coasting through 6 innings.
Yeah, even the outs, we were talking about it these last few innings, the outs have not even been that stressful. Fly ball down the right field line. That'll slice out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Echeverria. In the dirt. Donovan Solano is in the on-deck circle to pinch hit. Over to third, and Cody Ashley has the in-between hop. And there's a strike across the diamond. And 1 out here in the 6th. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD and over 400 devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. So Solano will pinch hit. Donovan Solano. And a fly ball to left field. Ben Revere is out there. He'll be under it. Makes the catch. And now the top of the order for D. Gordon. Boy, we had up the numbers from these first 2 days for the top 4 hitters in the lineup for the Marlins. Their numbers are going to be staggeringly good. Strike to Gordon. They have 13 hits. And 26 at bats, so they're hitting .500, the top 4 hitters in this lineup. And counting the RBIs today, they've driven in 7. And counting the runs scored today, they've scored 6.
Man.
1-1 pitch to D. Gordon. Swing and a miss. It's 1-2.
Have to try and find a way to pitch this guy. He's doing it to all fields. Cole tried to pound him in his last at bat and he hit a bullet to right.
That one's over to third. Another base hit for D. Gordon. So he's 3 for 3.
This is a joke. I mean, this is
Well, there's Flash, the former Phil. He has one son playing here with the Marlins. He has another one who was drafted in the first round, Nick, by the Minnesota Twins last year. He's proud papa. He was proud even when he was with the Phillies, and D was over at shortstop taking ground balls next to Jimmy Rollins before the draft. Out toward the alley in left center field. This is going to be another run for the Marlins. It goes all the way to the scoreboard. Gordon's already at third. He can walk home. RBI double for Martin Prado. 6-0. Marlins on top. Four RBIs for Martin Prado this afternoon.
He has seen it well off cold today. Unfortunately, this ball is smoked into the left field gap, left center gap. I was just watching D run. He's moving.
It literally was at third base by the time that ball hit the wall. Bob McClure goes to the phone. Somebody's going to start to throw in the Phillies bullpen.
Probably be McGowan, I would think, or DeFreitas.
Looks like it is Dustin McGowan who's going to start to throw. 6 runs on 10 hits now for the Marlins. 1 ball, 1 strike. Guy just caught that ball in his popcorn bucket. I think it went right through the bucket. Swing and a miss, and he's able to get Stanton. Well, how about this day? He's able to quiet Stanton except for a sac fly, but he can't quiet D. Gordon, who has scored 3 runs, or Martin Prado, who's driven in 4. We've played 6. Phillies trail it now 6-0 to Miami. Phils. He didn't really do it with a fastball hitting 90 miles an hour. Ben, he was doing it with all kinds of pitches and missed the spot a few different times too.
But he got away with it. He just kept subtracting. But there were a lot of pitches that I think were very hittable for the Phillies. But he just kept them off stride. A slow breaking ball, mixing a few cutters that I didn't see move a whole lot, but he got outs with them. And that splitter, and you know, he tipped his cap to him. He did a very fine job today for the Fish.
Well, he went 6 innings today. He scattered 4 hits and 4 strikeouts, and now he'll turn things over to his bullpen. Nick Massett who had been warming up, will take over here in the top of the 7th inning. He'll face Cody Ashe. Excuse me, Grady Sizemore, Cody Ashe, and Carlos Ruiz. And the first pitch to Sizemore is cut on and missed. It's 0-1. Sizemore does have a double today. He's 1 for 2.
Aaron pitched very well, but no walks.
Yeah, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Not too shabby for a guy who didn't think he was going to come over to Miami and pitch for them. He wanted the Marlins to trade him to a Southern California team, or he was going to retire. But there was $10 million on the table, so I guess he figured, I'll go to Miami. As you look at Massett's numbers, 4.50 ERA. Two pitch to Grady Sizemore. Way upstairs, 3-2.
That was just a split that got away there.
Gordon comes charging in and flips over to first. 1 down here in the 7th inning. Time now for our Delaware Valley Honda Dealers game summary. And we mentioned how Dan Herron won 6 innings today, 4 hits and 4 strikeouts. Phillies offense 3 runs in the 4th last night, no runs in the other 14 innings. Hamels has allowed a season high 6 earned runs today. His day is probably done. McGowan continues to throw in the bullpen. Prado has 4 RBIs for the Marlins.
Cole just didn't have it today. You know, it's curveball was good. Changeup was okay, but fastball locations, cutter didn't move a whole lot, but falling behind guys. So Martin Prado really take advantage of that 3-run homer.
Fly ball shallow left, and Ichiro. Two outs. There's McGowan.
It's a lot of lazy fly balls today. I mean, just.
Carlos has struck out. He's popped out to second. A good play by D. Gordon. Up high, 1-0. Echeverria ranges to his left, hops to his feet, throws on one hop, not in time. For catchers everywhere, Ben, Carlos Ruiz is able to leg that one out for a base hit.
He smelled it. Deep down, I'm saying get through ball, and then I'm saying beat it out, Chooch. He's a good-looking kid right here, I tell you. Stutters just a hair. We as catchers, Tom, deserve those. So here's Freddie Galvis, and Murph did the report on him last time about his strikeouts per at bats. With 2 strikes this year, he's 13 for 40, which is a .325 batting average.
Well, he doesn't get the 2 strikes here. He floats that to left, and Ichiro is able to grab it. But that's part of the reason why Galvis is sitting well over 300. Ruiz, his base hit. He's stranded over at first. Time to stretch here in South Florida. The Phillies down 6-0. Fantastic auction. It features great experiences and collectibles, including a trip for 2 to Chicago for the Phils Cubs series. Also a trip for 2 to San Francisco, and the Phillies take on the Giants. And we talked about this before. A fantastic opportunity for kids. Sleepover in the Phillies clubhouse and breakfast with the Fanatic. The fantastic auction partners include WIP and WPHT and benefits Phillies charities. Auctions end May 13th and 14th. Go to Phillies.com for more information. We start the bottom of the 7th, and Dustin McGowan will take over and face Marcell Ozuna, Jeff Baker, and JT Realmuto. Inside, it's 1 ball and 1 strike. See McGowan's numbers: 1-1, a 4.26 ERA. He has made 1 start. Marcell Ozuna and D. Gordon have combined this series for 11 hits and 5 runs scored. "12 hits, and hopefully it'll stay at 5 runs scored." He breaks his bat. He has his 2nd hit of the day. Jeff Baker's coming up.
He is good. Put on a show today in BP. He went up on that Budweiser bar over the 427 sign. I mean, that is. You and I were sitting up here. Wait a minute. Did he just hit one up there? Ozuna did.
Line drive caught by Utley. Throws to first, and it gets by Howard, and it hits. It looked like it hit Rock in the dugout. And that means that Ozuna is going to get to 3rd. It's a 2-base throwing error for Utley because the ball went into the dugout from an infielder's position. So the base runner is awarded 2 bags. So a line drive to second base and 1 out.
Ball's hit very, very hard.
Look out, John Miserock. Got him on a hop.
It did. Definitely going down the steps of that dugout.
Breaking ball. It's in there for a strike to Real Muto. 4th error of the year for Chase. Over to first, and right between Howard and Utley, a base hit. Real Muto has an RBI single. Ozuna will score. 7-0 Marlins. It's his 2nd RBI of the day.
The advantage of having the infield drawn in. And that ball was hit very hard, but gives the hitter such an advantage. A lot more green to work with out there.
Ichiro is 1 for 2, single and a walk. Phillies have committed 2 errors here this afternoon. The one in the first inning by Ashe and the one by Utley here. But this has been one of the out of the losses that they have. I mean, this has been one of the worst games that they've had this season. And that probably because of the way the offense looked and the way Cole looked out on the mound. And the way the at-bats have gone. 0-2 to Ichiro.
I asked Ichiro today if he would sign a bat for me, and he did. He delivered up here to the booth. And I asked him, I said, how come no more black bats? And he goes, black bats, American League. I said, white bats, National League.
Well, he may be doubled up on this grounder to Freddie Galvis. And he is. Side is retired, but another run scores. There was 1 error and a couple base hits. To the 8th inning, and the Phillies have some ground to make up. Go further. By WB Mason, you can't go wrong when you buy right. And buy your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Val Honda dealer. Visit DelValHondaDealers.com today. The shores of Miami Beach on the horizon. Some beautiful scenes when you fly into this area. Like the other night we were coming in, it was pitch black. Just the lights lit up on some of the condos and the high rises that go along the Atlantic. Oh man, it is such a sight to see. We'll go to the top of the 8th inning. Pretty good crowd here today, more than 30,000 on hand. It's the University of Miami Day. Their outgoing president, Donna Shillelagh, threw out the first pitch. Cesar Hernandez will lead it off for the Phils as a pinch hitter, and he lines one to Ichiro. And he catches it on his knees, and there's one out. So Nick Bassett continues on here in the 8th inning. And Revere is 1 for 3.
I had no idea Miami was this big.
Spread out?
Yeah, it's just even the downtown area. I haven't been here, but it's huge.
0-2 to Revere. Yeah, when you played here, you played at the old stadium.
Yes.
And the teams generally stayed away from downtown because it was so far away.
Yes.
I shouldn't say so far away. It was a half hour away or so.
I forget where we even stayed. I mean, that was back in 2001.
Swing and a miss. Ball gets away from Realmuto and goes down the stairs. And Revere will take first base. Runner at first, one man down. Odubel Herrera's coming up. It's time for the Major League Notebook. Murph?
All right, thanks, Tom. Albert Pujols is back in the Angels lineup today against the San Francisco Giants. That after leaving Wednesday's game with that sore hamstring. And Mike Scioscia did say he thought about waiting until they got back to the American League Park to put him in as a DH, but insisted that Pujols said he's 100%, so he is back in the lineup today. And some big doings in Boston today as Major League debut for Blake Swihart, their young 22-year-old catcher. He made his Major League debut today because Ryan Hanigan broke his hand earlier in this week, so they called him up. He was behind the plate. He batted ninth against the Yankees today, and in the 5th inning, got his first Major League hit as well, a single for him. So the 22-year-old will be up in Boston for a little while now as they wait for Hanigan to heal up. So big doings up there for those guys.
Yeah, we saw him in spring training. He came over to Bright House Field for a game with the Red Sox, and he looked very fluid behind the plate.
I liked what I saw out of him. I liked a lot.
Now, he's not a big guy, but his movements behind the plate, I think offensively it's a wait-and-see kind of thing, but his movements behind the plate, he looked very comfortable. And a line drive toward the alley in right center field. That'll be a base hit. Revere's around second and puts the brakes on. And that'll put runners on first and second with one out.
Murph, you see all those beaches that we just showed? You know how nice and pink you and I could get out there?
You know, I don't even need a beach. I just need to walk down the street and I can turn pink. But yeah, you and I would not fare well out. Fair being the key word in that.
Thank you guys for not including me in that. You're right, I do bronze when it comes to stuff like that. Chase Utley's the batter. Utley is 0 for 3. He's grounded out twice, and he's flied to left. There's a strike on the inside corner, 0-1. Herrera, by the way, has now reached base safely in 17 consecutive games. Kind of forget that from game to game, but nobody's done that as a rookie for the Phillies, dating back to 1900.
It shows consistency, and that's what you want to see, especially out of a rookie. And if he's showing, A, that he belongs here and can play here, but B, that he can do it day in and day out.
Dudley pulls it towards second. D. Gordon's got it. There's 1 and 2. 4-6-3 double play. Side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. Phils did have something cooking here in the 8th inning, but we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. This one was back in the 5th inning. D. Gordon's done it all this series, Ben.
He gets turned around here, and the ball kind of comes back to him. He runs too far. It makes the over-the-shoulder catch. Replace your divots, please. That's a great play, and that is why it's the Hyundai defensive play of the game.
Brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. D. Gordon's getting his bat ready. Switches for the Phils defensively. Cesar Hernandez will take over at second base for Chase Utley. And Jonathan Papelbon will get an inning of work here. Pap has not worked because the Phillies have lost 4 straight. And they trail it here as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It'll be Echeverria, Herron, and the top of the order. Echeverria is 1 for 3. And he lines that to right field, and Sizemore knocks it down, spins away. Echeverria is going to second. The throw is not in time. Leadoff double. And Justin Bour, who is 4 for 4 as a pinch hitter, will be the batter. Boy, Grady's lucky that ball didn't come up and hit him in the face.
He's lucky it didn't hit him in the face, and also lucky it didn't get by him.
If it had gotten by him with any kind of velocity, Echeverria probably would have had it inside the park home run.
I'm thinking so.
So now Bour, 13 hits for the Marlins today. Ground ball to Cesar Hernandez. That'll get the runner over. And there's 1 out.
Not that at bat. 4 for 4. That is something. Of course, he's got a very good pinch hit instructor in Lenny Harris down there with the Marlins.
Yeah, Lenny's the assistant hitting coach. And he's the all-time pinch hit leader in baseball history. There he is.
That is a special gift to be able to do that, and a great asset to have on your ball club.
Gordon takes high, 1-0.
440.
This is game number 24 for the Marlins, and he's hitting 440. All-star last year. After a sizzling first half, he dipped down in the second half. He finished under 300. Sam Dyson warming up in the pen for the Marlins. Looks like he'll pitch the ninth inning with the Marlins up 7-0. And ball 4. Gordon's aboard. Boy, he's been on base 5 times today. Stay up to date on all the Phillies and Eagles breaking news. Download the CSN Phillies Sports app today and follow CSN Philly on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We had that app today. Jim Salisbury made sure that he put out pretty quickly what the Phillies' plans were for the next few days pitching-wise. With Billingsley scheduled to pitch Tuesday against the Braves, and David Buchanan being optioned out to Lehigh Valley. Sean O'Sullivan in a simulated game today, and then will pitch on Thursday in Lakewood. And Prado's been hit by a pitch. That'll load up the bases. Mike Redmond coming out to make sure he's okay. Prado had himself a big day, 4 RBIs.
Just a hitter that gets away from Paps.
Cooling him off a little bit. And now you load up the bases for Giancarlo Stanton. One ball and no strikes. Fouls it again. It's 1-2. Stanton's numbers against Papelbon, a 400 hitter.
Might ride a fastball up in the zone here.
Missed a spot on that too. Ruiz wanted it outside and it came back over the inside part of the plate. Boy, he is dangerous, even though he's struggling today.
That is not where he wanted that.
No.
See how his backside stays connected there, his back elbow. I mean, that's where you generate all that power. It was such a good picture there of how you just keep that back elbow close to your body. You never let that your back elbow get out and around where you start to smother balls.
Swing and a miss. He got a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. And now 2 outs here in the ninth inning.
That's the hat trick there for Giancarlo Stanton, just the Express. I mean, that not a whole lot. That's pretty much down the middle.
Him. Yeah, he challenged him.
I mean, who would ever think that the Marlins have 7 runs on 13 hits, and Giancarlo Stanton only had a sac fly with a hat trick? I mean, you would think he'd be in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's Gordon and Prado really have done the damage today. Throwing a little Marcell Ozuna, who has scored a run. It's 0-1 to Ozuna. Martin Prado, 4 RBIs today. He's been on base every time he's been up, but he just wore one in the back of the leg, partly as a symbol for the damage the Marlins have done here today, that he's done. No balls and 1 strike to Ozuna. Fly ball down the right field line. A slice out of play. And it's 0-2. Toyota Major League scoreboard, an update from St. Louis. The Cardinals have beat the Pirates 2-1. Matt Carpenter's sac fly wins it in the 11 innings.
Back-to-back games ended 2-1 for them.
Yeah, they've won 5 in a row now. 3 against the Phils and now 2 against the Pirates. 0-2 pitch. And he fouls it.
Good splitter there.
Got a piece of Matty Gonzalez, the home plate umpire. Fly ball right center field. This should do it for the inning. Herrera comes in and calls off Sizemore, and the Marlins leave him loaded here in the bottom of the 8th inning. So last chance for the Phils. They trail at 7-0. We'll be back with the top of the 9th right after this. A lot of big deliveries for the Marlins, but this one came in the 2nd inning. Martin Prado
gets into a great 3-1 count. Giancarlo Stanton hitting behind him. He knows he's going to get something good to hit, and he gets a 3-1 heater middle end and just lets her eat. And that is why that is your W.B. Mason delivery of the game.
Well, Martin Prado has been replaced over at third base by Reed Brignac. He was hit by that pitch by Jonathan Papelbon in the bottom of the 8th inning. So Brignac takes over at third. No other changes for the Marlins except they have a new pitcher. And it's right-hander Sam Dyson that will take over. And Dyson will face Ryan Howard to start things off. Howard lines it foul, and it's 0-1. Reminder, we'll be back on Comcast Sportsnet tomorrow. The finale of this 3-game series, 1 o'clock. Don't forget on at 12:30, the big Sunday show. Get you set for Phillies baseball.
Grande Domingo. That's what we used to call it. Big Sunday.
Inside, 1-1.
Scott Palmer always liked when I said that.
Grande Domingo.
Grande Domingo.
Two balls and 1 strike to Howard. And Howard fouls it. It's 2-2. See Dyson's numbers. This is his 11th ball game. He's been very good. The Marlins bullpen as a whole has been up and down, as we mentioned yesterday. But Dyson, in this kind of role, he's averaging a strikeout per inning pitched. And he gets Howard on an off-speed pitch. Howard has struck out for the 2nd time. He's 0 for 4. And there's 1 out here in the 9th inning, and Grady Sizemore will come up to the plate.
We know about their defense. They're starting to hit a little bit. Starting pitching's so-so. I think a lot depends on their bullpen, on how far the Marlins go this year.
Yeah, they've got A.J. Ramos, Mike Dunn, and Cishak in the back end. Those guys are pretty good now. Their numbers aren't great, although Ramos's are. Sizemore fouls it away. It's 0-1. But you would think as they move deeper into the season, if things don't work out, they're going to have to make a deal or two to bring in some help in that bullpen. They're going to get this guy back eventually, Jose Fernandez.
Not Alex Fernandez.
No, not Alex. In his heyday, they probably wouldn't mind having him back. Henderson Alvarez, who's been out with an injury also. They hope he's going to come back. 0-2 pitch to Sizemore, and he's down on strikes. Boy, good changeup by Dyson, not only to get Howard, but also to get Grady Sizemore.
Very good.
Coming up after the ball game, Tommy Green will help break down today's game, talk about Cole Hamels' performance, only on Pure Auto Insurance presents Phillies Post Game Live. Fortunately, Tommy's not going to be able to talk about a whole lot of offense for the Phillies.
Some stuff moving all over the place. It was at 94. That ball was put straight down. Tough pitch there, Manny. See Cody not happy with that one. something the Phillies hitters can look for. He gets 2 strikes against lefty. He goes straight to that changeup.
Yep.
I would too. I mean, it's a good one, but
see if he can spoil it. 3-2 pitch. And he goes with a fastball. Swung on and missed, and he has struck out the side here in the 9th inning. And a very